Välkomna. Välkomna till den baltiska frihetens torg. Välkomna till Norrmalmstorg. Här på Norrmalmstorg stod från den 19 mars 1990 till den 26 september 1991 stod vi här på Norrmalmstorg. Första gången trodde jag inte någon skulle komma. Vi stod på en ölback. Och plötsligt, så ungefär som här idag, så ur asfalten reste sig 300 människor och lite till. Och allting stannade upp. Nästa gång var vi 2000. Stod fortfarande på samma ölback. Och sen fortsatte det. Men vad jag tror var en befrielse av vad väldigt många svenskar hade känt inför den tysthet som länge hade rått gentemot våra baltiska grannar. Och här blandades det allra mest allvarliga med glädje, sång och musik som här idag. Jag kommer ihåg en gång när jag var här själv en sommardag. Så plötsligt med färjan från Tallinn och kanske på en annan turné så dök det upp 3 orkestrar, en dansgrupp och en kör. Det var första gången i mitt liv som jag varit musikimpresario. Fick placera kören där, den ena orkestern där och så vidare. Det var, jag vill gärna säga det var väldigt många gånger fantastiskt roligt. Men hela tiden så var det med ett allvar som ibland blev ännu mer intensivt. Här på Norrmalmstorg var vi kanske 15 000 måndagen den 14 januari efter det att de sovjetiska trupperna hade gått in i Vilnius. Ungefär lika många måndagen därpå när de hade gått in i Riga. Men det som hände där då, och det är det viktigaste i hela berättelsen om de baltiska ländernas frihet, det var det ofantliga mod som 100 000-tals människor i Vilnius, i Riga, i Tallinn visade när de ställde sig framför de sovjetiska trupperna och sa: nej, vi ger inte upp vår frihet, vi vill ha vår självständighet. Och mina vänner, de vann. Och deras seger där blev början på en europeisk förändring. Därför att det var den fredliga omvandlingen av de baltiska länderna från ockuperade under diktaturens ok till fria europeiska nationer som gjorde den fredliga europeiska återföreningen möjlig. Jag vill hävda att vi svenskar har väldigt mycket att tacka de länder och de folk vars fanor vajar här framför mig. Därför att deras frihet är vår frihet, deras säkerhet är vår säkerhet och deras Europa har blivit vårt Europa. Vårt Europa är deras Europa. De är inte öst och vi är inte väst, utan vi är allihopa europeer i en fri och demokratisk värld. Det är en framgång som vi alla idag ska uppskatta. Och nu står vi här och vet att framtiden de kommande 10-20 år är lika oviss som det var då. Därför att då stod historien och balanserade. Ingen visste hur det skulle gå. Men en sak vet vi. David kunde besegra Goliat. Den mäktigaste diktaturen kunde falla. Och det gäller despoterna idag också. I Minsk, Lukasjenko, i Moskva, Putin och i Kina, Xi och världen över. De vet, mina vänner, att de lever på lånad tid. De vet att det enda de har är den brutala grymheten, men aldrig demokratins långa styrka. Så låt oss lära oss en sak från vad måndagsrörelsen innebar, nämligen ett stöd och en röst för andra människors frihet, och den plattform, internationella plattform som Norrmalmstorg kommer att bli. Låt oss lära oss att det är det som vi måste göra även idag. And let me just say to all Baltic friends and the speakers of their parliaments, you made the unification of Europe possible. Thank you very much.
Friends, Excellencies, honored guests, I can't tell you how happy I am to be standing here today to speak to you. My name is Cecilia Brinck. I'm president of the Stockholm City Council, and today I'm standing in this historical place commemorating 30 years anniversary of freedom and independence and of diplomatic relations between Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Sweden. And I'm not just standing here as a representative of the city of Stockholm. I also stand here in a more personal capacity because I feel very strongly about this celebration. I was part of the Monday movement for nearly its entire duration. A very, very small and insignificant part, but still I was there. I was here. The meetings, as Gunnar has just told you, started in March 1990. I moved to Stockholm a few months later, and from then on I was here every blessed Monday in cold and rain and hail and storms and blizzards. I was here. We were all here. There were times, I have to admit, when we rather hurriedly went away when the meeting was over to Berns to have a very hot lunch. It's very windy in this place, as I'm sure you've already discovered. I was here because I worked at Timbro, where I had Gunnar Hökmark as one of my bosses. The other one was Mats Johansson, sadly departed and deeply mourned. And I was recruited with some of my colleagues to help out in the meetings with practical stuff. I noticed today that the technical equipment has been slightly upgraded since the beer crate and later on the truck, the pickup truck that I drove up onto the square, which was an adventure in itself. I think even the loudspeaker equipment has been upgraded. But I don't think I really understood, or that any of us really understood, the initial impact of these meetings. For me, it was a way to show solidarity and support for our friends in these three still so very distant countries on the other side of the Baltic Sea. Politically distant, but geographically and historically very close. And you remember that in the early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, the issue of Baltic independence was anything but mainstream political consensus in Sweden. This was still quite controversial in certain places. But the movement, the meetings gained momentum, more and more people came, and I think virtually everybody that we've heard of holding political positions in Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania in the 90s and into the 2000s, all of them were here at one time or another. And they spoke, not from this wonderful technically advanced platform, but from the beer crate or from the truck. And in January 1991, Gunnar just spoke about this, There were images flashing on television from Riga and Vilnius, tanks in front of parliament buildings, barricades being put up very hurriedly, frightened, understandably frightened, but determined people, determined to defend their parliaments, to defend their country, to defend their newfound freedom. And the Monday movement had become a lifeline, I think, to many politicians. This was a safe place, far away from oppression, where you could speak freely, surrounded by friends and supporters. Something that wasn't always the place in their home countries. And so I realized, and I think my colleagues and friends did too, that these meetings were so much more than just a friendly gesture of support, you know, kind of theoretical. We support you, of course. Not that we believe that anything will ever come of it, but we support you anyway. It became reality. This was history in the making, and it happened live for all of us to watch on television every day. And we were all part of it. It was exhilarating. It was frightening too, and anything could happen, and anything did happen. Lives were lost during those days in January, and we will always remember those who died for their countries and for the cause of freedom. The last Monday meeting took place in this place, took place in September 1991, but I think we forget that there were Monday meetings in many other places in Sweden. In up to 50 cities, these meetings were arranged at more or less regular intervals. People met, talking about the causes, meeting friends, supporting each other. Recently, the city of Stockholm put up a plaque. It's by the flagpole, with the Latvian flag, to commemorate this, the 30th anniversary of diplomatic ties and independence, to complement the monument you can see behind you over there, which was put up in 1994. It's called The Source of Freedom, and it's made by an artist called Björn Selder. It was put up in 1994. And I hope you will take a few moments to contemplate the monument and read the plaque. And thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting the cause so strongly and so determinedly. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nora Sööt, and I am the leader of the Estonian Youth Organization in Sweden, and the co-founder of the Global Estonian Youth Network. I was born in Estonia in 2002. I came to Stockholm as a baby, and I have lived here my entire life. My nationality is of great importance to me, and I have made it my mission to make the world a better place by bringing together people all over the world with the Estonian language, history, and cultural heritage. We, the Estonian youth, whom I represent here today, cannot associate with the Monday meetings that took place here 30 years ago. We only know of the free and democratic country of Estonia. Everything we know about Soviet occupation is what we read in history books and what we hear from our parents and grandparents. These are stories of a country we cannot imagine living in, nor existing today. We are privileged to live in Sweden, where democracy and human rights are a given. We do not encounter authoritarianism and government-inflicted violence in our home countries. We are comfortable. While the threat against democracy has never been greater. The pandemic, for example, began and revealed Beijing's global disinformation and censorship campaign to counter the fallout from its cover-up of the initial coronavirus outbreak. Venezuela, Hong Kong, the United States, Afghanistan, and India are only a few countries mentioned where democracy has been under attack or impaired in recent times. However, there is one war on democracy that hits closer to home. With great despair, we observe the developments in our neighbor country to the Baltic states. Belarus, where democracy has been suffocated under Alexander Lukashenko's repressive rule. The young people who haven't lived under the USSR are ignorantly scrolling through the new global circumstances, where acts of repression have gone unpunished and democracy's advocates are increasingly isolated. Is this the status quo we want our children and young adults to live in? I say no. As the fight for democracy doesn't end with regaining independence, the fight changes. Now, more than ever, it's time to learn from history and not take our democracy for granted. We cannot stand by when oppressive and often violent authoritarian forces tip the international order in their favor, time and time again, exploiting both the advantages of non-democratic systems and the weaknesses in aligning democracies. Raising awareness of the role the youth play in protecting Estonia's independence and the Baltic states' independence is crucial. The future of democracy lies in the hands of the youth. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andreas Norlén. I'm the Speaker of the Swedish Parliament, and I'm very privileged to be here today together with the speakers of the parliaments of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. The formal reason is to celebrate 30 years of restored diplomatic relations between Sweden and the three Baltic countries, respectively. But I think this is more a manifestation of 30 years of Baltic independence and the Swedish support for that struggle. We gather here at Norrmalmstorg to remind us of the Monday meetings and the strong impact that the Monday meetings had on the developments in those dramatic years. I think gathering here at Norrmalmstorg also reminds us of the power of people when they rally together for a common cause. And it is also a way of paying tribute to those who fought here in Stockholm and on the other side of the Baltic Sea for freedom and democracy in Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania 30 years ago. The Monday meetings were important and historical demonstrations of solidarity with the fight for freedom in the Baltic states. They made a difference. We've heard the witnesses. On the other hand, it wasn't really dangerous to protest against the Soviet tyranny here in Stockholm. It was dangerous in Tallinn, in Riga and in Vilnius. But you protested there anyway. And when you eventually brought the Soviet Union to its knees, you didn't only fight for yourselves, you fought for us. When the lights went on in the Baltic states and throughout Eastern Europe, after 40 years of darkness, that light shone across the whole of Europe. When tyranny and dictatorship was replaced by friendly, peaceful and democratic nation, it wasn't only a new beginning for you. You made our world and our future better, brighter and safer as well. For that, we thank you with all our hearts. Because freedom and democracy make the world a better place. Freedom and democracy replace hatred with peace. Freedom and democracy bring prosperity. Yes, there are problems and challenges for democracy in a troubled world, but still the evidence is clear. Authoritarianism in all its shapes, apart from its moral inferiority, limits human creativity and fosters corruption, inefficiency and backwardness. The Soviet Union could never win the hearts and minds of its people, but it often did not even succeed in satisfying people's most basic material needs. It was, of course, an evil empire, but it was also an empire of misery, despair, and failure. Dear friends, today we celebrate 30 years of renewed diplomatic relations between Sweden and the 3 Baltic states, and thereby the return of freedom and democracy to Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We need to continue to manifest our common desire for democratic development throughout the world, and to remind ourselves of wins of the past. With this inspiration, we can together, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, fight for democracy in other countries, in other parts of the world, together in the troubled world of today, and make it better for the sake of young people of all countries. Thank you.
God dag alla tillsammans. Speakerna län, my friends, dear neighbors, dear Swedish and Baltic friends, it's excellent and gratifying feeling to be here at this historic place. Thank you, President of the City Council, Madam Brinck, Mr. Hökmark, and many others in Sweden for your clearly demonstrated continuous support here in Norrmalmstorg to the freedom and restoration of independence of the Baltic states. 30 years ago, the Swedish public support to the Baltic way to freedom was invaluable. During one of the 79 Monday meetings, Carl Bildt said, "The rights of the Baltic nations to their freedom are our rights." It meant a lot to us 30 years ago. It still resonates today. I would like to take this opportunity and praise the Swedish diplomats of that time who used their knowledge, skills, even creativeness to help us, the Baltic nations. In Latvia, we still remember Lars Fredén, Swedish consul at that time, and the first Western diplomat to arrive in Riga after 50 years of occupation. Being present in our parliament, he was an eyewitness to the historic parliamentary vote on the declaration on the restoration of independence of the Republic of Latvia on the 4th of May 1990. The Baltic way to freedom and to the restoration of independence was a non-violent path of parliamentary democracy. Today, the Baltic way is the European way. 30 years after regaining independence, the Baltic states are deeply integrated in European and transatlantic structures. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Sweden are like-minded EU members. Today, the Baltic experience may help our friends in the Eastern neighborhood in their process of democratic transformation. It is our responsibility to stand together for the respect of democratic values, to safeguard our freedom and independence. Thank you.
Honorable speakers, dear colleagues, participants of Monday movement. Today we look back on the Monday meetings that took place here a little bit over 30 years ago. The importance of the support of the Swedish people in very uncertain times, when the dream of the Baltic countries to be free, independent, and democratic was still in the making, cannot be overestimated. Lithuania restored its independence on the 11th of March 1990. At that point, one could be mistaken into feeling that the whole world was observing, but not really supporting us. 320 days were left until the first official recognition of Lithuania's independence by Iceland. It was almost 1.5 years before the Moscow Putsch, after which the big powers of the world started the process of recognizing Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. However, we were definitely not alone. From March 19, 1990 until September 16, 1991, every Monday at 12 o'clock in this very square, the rallies took place supporting the Baltic countries on our way to freedom. During this time, almost 80 meetings took place with people from all over Sweden demonstrating their solidarity and their support. One could say that it was the first Baltic way, stretching across the time, not space, gathering thousands of people who called out to the world to pay attention to those in the three small Baltic countries fighting the biggest fight of their lifetimes. Evil regimes eventually disintegrate, but it is always up to individual people to take up their fight for freedom, for democracy, for the human rights, and to show solidarity. And I want to take this chance to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who participated, organized, and supported Monday movement. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Honorable colleagues, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, armsad sõbrad, kära vänner, it is a great honor for me to attend today the reconstruction of the legendary Monday meeting. We shall remember these people, and we shall remember Peeter Luksepp, Andres Küng, Hakman Holmberg, and you, Gunnar Hökmark, as the initiators and the leaders of this historic undertaking. The people's voice expressed here was helping the government to make the right decisions. Thank you for your determination and thank you for your bravery. I have heard a lot about the special way to show support Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia independence. Also my relatives here in Sweden, in Gothenburg, used to participate at these rallies. I am so proud that I have this opportunity to stand here at the moment with my colleague here, Yoko Alender, who stood here among the other students of Stockholm Estonian School. And today we are colleagues in Estonian Parliament. These meetings helped us not just by showing public support here in Sweden, but also drawing the wider world's attention to our struggle. Yoko, please.
Thank you. Dear gathered, dear everyone. In 1944, lots of Estonians had to depend on the kindness of strangers. They came over the sea and they found a new home here in Sweden. they got a chance to have their own school, to keep their own language alive, to keep their own culture alive. Then they met people who listened to them. In 1989, I was 10 years old, and I came over that same sea and moved to Stockholm together with my father, and also found a new home and went to this school, Stockholm Estonian School. And together with my school, I stood here in the Monday meetings. I finished my school years here in Sweden. I think I acquired my values here, being openness, courage and kindness. I also had to depend a lot on the kindness of strangers. Today I am a member of the Estonian Parliament. I am leading the Committee for Environment. I am dealing with our common challenges. I am also leading the committee or the friendship group for Sweden. And I am very honored to be here today, because when we listen to people, when we talk to people, when we act, then we are not anymore strangers. Now we are friends, and we will be that forever, I think. Thank you. Thank you.
I really would like to thank everybody who had time to come here and commemorate all these Monday meetings. Vi tackar alla som kunde komma idag och känna lite grann hur det var 1990 när alla drömde om friheten. So it's important to have this memory, how it was to dream about freedom. And now we have a little bit more music. Happy to present you 3 Stones Quartet from Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. They will have 2 concerts this night at Estonian House already, 5:30 and at 10 o'clock. If somebody is really would like to listen to music, please contact me, the organizer. Thank you very much to everybody and have a nice day.
Thank you.